Have you heard of Webtoon? If you have, you probably think that's a dumb question. The site is huge with a ton of great talent on there. It seems to be the primary legal site for English speakers to get Korean manhwa, which has really taken off in the last few years. People talk about how manga is trouncing Western comics, but the Koreans looked at that and decided to add color to the industry standard. Kind of nicer. That doesn't mean Webtoon is just foreign studios pumping out weekly content on a sort of subscription basis, though. It's filled with indies trying to make a go of it with subscription payments, Patreon, and lately, physical releases. Which I think might be a bit weird. Now, I've got an entire bookshelf upstairs filled with manga that I collect, and I read manhwa online every week. A lot of it, actually. Despite series like Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint being one of my favorite, I'm not sure it would actually be good in physical. I'm probably going to eventually buy it because I'm a collector addict like that, but I have some reservations. Now, if you've never read webcomics like this, they're structured around mobile reading. They are drawn in a way that is optimized for experiencing it in a scroll, not page to page. Manga and comics are obviously designed first and foremost to be read as books, which imposes some design limitations on them. Infinite scrolling has limitations as well. You can't really do a left to right sprawl, for instance. But it gives the artist very direct control of literal pacing. The reader experiences it sequentially, in chunks about as large as their thumb can move up and down the screen because it's digital. Panels can be spread out to build suspense. You can, for example, make the reader scroll through several pages lengths of whitespace with some very sparse sound effects or dialogue until you finally reveal what you've been building up. The distance becomes time in a way that just doesn't happen when you open a physical book and see a blank page. You're also not paying for the paper. Blank area is free, basically. And do not bring up Kubo's The Heart page. It's a meme, it's bad, moving on. So, with that in mind, artists have gotten good at the new style, the new optimization of the medium. I'm very hesitant about it getting chopped up into a book, though, because it just doesn't work. Please comment below if you've picked up any of these releases. I think Solo Leveling was the first big one that hit store shelves, but one big thing with these infinite scrolls is the panels don't square up like horizontally. They're almost always introduced with a tapered corner that you see the corner and you get like your eye catches the color and pulls into the panel because you know the scroll is going this way. The artist designs it that way. They're spread out. Whereas with like a manga or a comic, they're always, flush with the corner because it's the top of the page. They're optimizing the space. But in digital, what are you optimizing? So, if you go from digital to paper, are you going to change all the panel structures? How's that work? Is a reader going to want a physical adaptation of something, or do they want the literal adaptation? I don't understand why they're doing it. I do understand why they're doing it. It's more money. The current monetization model works well. Webtoon is growing. These studios are succeeding. Good for them. It also means people like me can read along for free if I'm fine being a month behind on releases. I can pay to get ahead, but I typically don't. I don't like paying for intangibles, and a lot of other people don't as well. But a physical release, yeah, I'll hoard those for sure. The reason this is on my mind is because I just read Will Eisner's book, Comics and Sequential Art, which is very much old school American style of comics, and it's rather funny to see the few paragraphs added in recently about how some artists are experimenting with digital comics. I'm not entirely sure I got my money's worth out of this book simply because of how antiquated it essentially is. I picked it up on recommendation, and well, maybe I'll get use out of it as I try to sketch out some plans for my own graphic novels. Please drop a sub if you are interested in seeing that. That's not the only reason though, because you probably saw the thumbnail before clicking, and I will explain that. I'll justify that. It's not just cute anime girls. I know this guy, Yakov Merkin, through Twitter, and he's got this series, Amaranth Angels, coming out. End of this month, it'll be on Kickstarter, but right now, he's got the first chapter available for free on Webtoon. Link in the description. Short version, it feels like a mashup of Gundam and Girls in Panzer. It's cute girls doing military space fighter things, and the aliens are monster girls. It sounds right up my goddamn alley. I'm not going to do a review of it here, though. I'm not pulling out the tier list because there just isn't enough content, which I actually think is a point against it. I suspect that putting the first chapter onto Webtoon was an afterthought rather than designed into the outline. There's a bit of setup for Situation Normal, character introductions, an inciting incident, arguably two inciting incidents. Nothing gets wrapped up though, and you might think it's ridiculous to expect something to get wrapped up in 32 pages of a graphic novel medium, but that's what he's trying to use to sell the full product. So yeah, I kind of do expect a bit more. Now, moving on, it's written in manga style, which nothing wrong with that. I don't hold that against it. I don't hold the tropes against it either. I'm totally fine with the changing scene. The chapter is 32 pages, uploaded each as an individual chapter. Why? Because that's what the algorithm rewards. The way sites like Webtoon work, just like Royal Road, where I upload a web novel for free, link in the description as well, is fundamentally that the more you upload, the more people get notified about you, the more chances you have to pick up followers. More equals more. And it's not just more chapter uploads, but more panels per chapter. That's how you get people to pay to get ahead. And you need money, don't you? More. Draw more. Come on, work harder, faster. Everyone else's. And if you don't keep up, you'll fall behind and languish in obscurity. Success goes to the successful. Everything's about snowballing. More numbers. And I don't think it's a sustainable model. I think this is just an engine to create burnout. The most successful web novels upload several thousand words of content every single day without break. And if you ask anyone who seriously reads them, they're not good. Solo Leveling that I mentioned earlier, which was the flagship of Redice Studios, and very good, don't get me wrong, it basically put their CEO in his grave from overwork, which is just an absolute tragedy. It shocked the entire community when it happened. It's horrible. It's just a reflection of the impact that our systems are having on people. This is how internet platforms work. Take YouTube, for example, however. Do you follow a current events guy? Have you heard them complain about needing a second channel because YouTube will only promote 2 or 3 videos a day from any one channel? Those workaholics see that as a leash on their throat, stopping them from outcompeting everyone else. But holy crap, it's just about the only systemic method of content damping I know of on the whole internet. It's the only platform doing anything to tone down the highest producers for the health of the platform. Now, that probably sounds weird. Don't you want more from the highest producers? Like that's how the Pareto distribution works, right? The 80-20 rule. The problem is that they may produce, the top 20% does produce half the content, half the value, but you can't just destroy the entire foundation of the platform to do that. You can't design it to ruin everyone who isn't the most work obsessed, most successful person on there. The thing is, consumers are voracious, and the nature of social connectivity means breakaway successes are exponentially successful. If you're not aware of the comic scene like this, just think of how many people bought 50 Shades of Grey. The internet is only making this worse, and systems that directly drive creatives to burnout are not good. Unfortunately, I don't have a good proposal for toning down virality. And even if I did, I can't imagine any of these companies implementing it. It will come across like they're directly harming themselves in order to try and produce a system that improves the quality of the content. Because the way things work, you don't really care about quality. You care about the amount of people using the service and the retention of them and the amount people are talking about it, which is adjacent to quality. But it's not really quality, is it? Unfortunately, there may not be a solution to this. But hey, time will tell if this is a sustainable model. The content is pretty damn good in the meantime. So, check the link in the descriptions. Join the book club if you want. Drop a like, drop a sub, YouTube things. Till next time.